Okay, so once we are done with our report creation with your multiple pages, then after, in order to create a dashboard, or in order to publish, in order to share it with others, we are going to publish our report. Now whenever you click on a publish, like if you want to publish, if you want to share the report, or if you want to create a dashboard, that will be done by using a Power BI service. And Power BI service, if you want to move it, if you want to move your report to Power BI service, we have an option called publish. Whenever you click on a publish, it will ask you, if you are not saved, it is asking for a save, fine. It is going to ask you for a service account. If you already have a service account, it is fine. If you don't have service account, you need to create here. So you need to provide your office email ID. Okay, then after, it will allow you to create your service account. The people who are already working, if you are already having a Power BI accounts, those are fine. People are already working who don't have Power BI accounts, provide your official email ID here, and then after click on sign up, and it will ask you for Active Directory authentication. Then after, you will be get signed in. And the people who are not working, who are looking for a jobs, for them I will try to give a workaround, or I will get back to you with a one account which you can practice the Power BI service. Okay, so previously I used to have 2 or 3 accounts, then after I forgot that passwords also, those are available with some other people. So I will try to get another account for you people, so that you people can practice on that account. Or if you have any workaround is there, but spending the money from each person is getting difficult. So I will create one account on behalf of the institute. I will give that account, practice that account. That's it. So whatever, Power BI service is nothing but a web-based application. I said web-based server, and in order to work on it, you need to create your own account. That can be done with the help of Office 365. So if you don't have account, you need to provide your email ID and click on sign up. And as I already have that one, I'm going here and I'm providing my email ID. So whenever I provided my email ID, it is asking something to select. Let me select something and I will explain what it is. And click on select. So whatever the report that I am sending, that will be published to Power BI service. Okay. So now, as a new person, if you want to share your report, or if you want to create a dashboards, what you require is Power BI service account is required. So whenever you click on Power BI publish, it is asking you to select your service account. You need to provide a service account details, then after that will be published. So leave about all. app.powerbi.com is a site where you will be redirected, you will be landed based on your domain ID. Okay, so first time whenever you logged in, you are going to get this kind of window. First time whenever you logged in, you are going to get this kind of window. Like once you are done with your sign up, once you are done with your sign up, you are going to landed here. Then after, then after you can expand this one. You have these options are available. Now guys, understand very clearly from here onwards. I will give many tasks. Okay, so I will give many tasks or many questions I will ask, and with respect to interview purpose, you have to highlight yourself. Those will be really useful. Okay, so understand from here very clearly. So there are many limitations are there. There are some workarounds will be there. So you need to understand what are the limitations, what are the workarounds. We need to speak strongly on the limitations and everything. Okay, even if they are saying something, you need to be strong. So understand from here very well. Whenever you create a Power BI service account with Power BI portal, where you can create a service account is in a Power BI portal. So here start free option is there. Here. Okay. So here you have two options are there. The first one is Power BI desktop. The below one is cloud collaboration, which is nothing but a Power BI service. The third one is Power BI report server. As we spent a lot of time at Power BI desktop, we need to understand how to configure the report server and everything. That's it. Okay. So now here, if you want to create a Power BI service account, you need to create from here. So as I already logged in another page, it was identified. If not, it used to ask me that sign up. So once you get a sign up page, provide email ID, then after you need to authenticate, then after you will be redirected to this page. This is the place where you can create your service account. Okay, now I said once you logged in, you are going to see this kind of window. This is the place app.powerbi.com. This is the place. This is the web server, Power BI web server or Power BI service is nothing but this one. Okay, so this is how you used to see. Now, what you need to understand is whenever from a Power BI desktop, if you publish a report in a Power BI desktop, what you are going to have? You are having a data model will be there. On top of it, you are creating a multiple reports, which is a one Power BI file, right? So whenever you publish it to Power BI service, whenever you publish it to Power BI service, it is going to send two files to the Power BI service. One is data set, the second one is report. Report. It is going to send whenever you publish a Power BI file in a Power BI service, it is going to generate two components. One is a data set, second one is a report. And at the time of the publishing, it will ask you, boss, choose a workspace. The workspace is nothing but here by default you will be under my workspace. You will be under my workspace. My workspace is nothing but, like workspace is nothing but, if you want to group your reports or dashboards together, a specific project reports together, we are going to use a concept called workspace. That's a development environment, or it's, I will not say the development environment. It is a place where you can group your objects together based on the module that you are working on. That is a workspace. Now, by default, you will be provided with a one workspace called my workspace, your own workspace, which contains the reports where you can publish your reports. If required, you can create a multiple workspaces. If required, you can create a multiple workspaces with the help of create workspace option. Okay, so if it is only one workspace, that is fine. But if you have multiple projects, whenever you are publishing, it is going to ask you, boss, in which workspace you wanted to send that file. In which workspace you want to send that file, it will ask you. At that time, you need to select which workspace you want to publish. It is showcasing the list of workspaces, list of folders, in which folder you want to publish. So you need to select any one of the folder, or if you want, you can create a new workspace, which is nothing but a folder only, or which is nothing but a group where you can organize each project separately. Okay, so other than that, there is no specific meaning. So workspaces is that one. In order to organize your project, we can create it as a multiple workspaces, and you can manage the reports and dashboards instead of keeping everything under a single workspace. Now, at the time of publishing, you need to specify workspace. So I have many workspaces are there which I created, and here, uh, as I said, whenever whenever we publish a report, I published a report under MR Marketing Universe. Whenever I publish a report, you are able to see that was came into report section, that is came into data set. So there are, it was showcasing as a two different components called data set and report. Now we'll see the options associated with that data set first, then after report, then after dashboard, and I will give you many tasks, understand the things very clearly. Okay, so here the data set called service 1 was came here, and from here, if you want to create a report, you can create it. I said, boss, from Power BI service, you can create a report. I said, how you can create a report is, you need to come to the workspace, go to the data sets, and on the data set, you have an option called create report. Click on it so that it will open your data set. It will open your data set, and you can utilize that data set and create reports. So here my data set was the service 1. Here I can create a reports whatever I want. So in Power BI service also I can create a report. Okay, so I created it like that. In a data sets, whenever you publish your report, that will be showcased as a data set and report both. By using a data set, you can create any number of reports. Any number of reports you can create. So here, this is for creating a report. And next, refresh and a schedule refresh. We'll see now. And view related is nothing but on this data set, how many reports or dashboards depending on that will be showcased here. It is showcasing that boss there are no dashboards were related, only service 1 and test 1 was related, which are reports it is saying. Fine. So next, and the next one is, before discussing these things, we'll understand about refresh and schedule refresh only. So here, if I want to refresh the data set, refreshing the data set is nothing but what was happened so far is what was happened so far is, where is my one? Just a second. Okay, fine. I cannot change the color now. Fine. So what was happened is you constructed a data model inside of a report, and you took the data from different sources, which are Excel files in my machine. You loaded them. You create a report. Then after you publish in a Power BI service, which is nothing but a cloud, and there your report and data set are there. Now whenever I want to update this, like whenever I want to refresh the report, whenever I want to refresh the report, this data set is not yet updated. If I have a latest updated data, automatically report will be updated. But my report today I published, after 5 days, the same data it will have. I always want to see the latest data. Latest data. At that time, if you perform a refresh on this report, on this data set, what will happen is it will give an error saying that boss, in this data set you referred a file called some xyz, which is not available in a cloud, it will say. It is not available there. And what you need to do is you need to configure a link between a data source to this data set. You need to configure a link between the data source, not this one, which is available on your machine, with a Power BI service data set. Okay, you need to configure that one. In order to configure that one, we have a concept called gateway. The gateway is a bridge between your Power BI service dataset and a on-premise dataset which is available on your machine, which will help you to transform the data securely. Which will help you to transform your data securely over your on-premise to cloud. In order to do this activity, the link between a data source and data set, we are using a gateway concept. If we have that one, you can refresh it. Automatically report will get refreshed. If you not configure a gateway, the Power BI don't know that in which machine the source is there, with whose account it need to log in. Don't know. That's why it will get failed. Now understand. I have a report. I have a data set that's service underscore one. Whenever I perform a refresh, it is saying that can't refresh your data. The credentials were provided. The data source is invalid. Please check that credentials of data sources and all. It is giving something, but 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 here the data source is not configured. Now what we need to do is, by default in your machine also it will not be configured. Or if you consider a scenario, if you are working on a new project, even though you are configured your data gateway, you need to add that source, whatever the source that you are adding, you need to using, you need to add. So leave about all those things. Now, in a Power BI service, if you want to refresh the data which is available in a your on-premise, you must go with the gateway. That gateway you can get it from here on top, like here. Data gateway is there. Click on that one and download gateway. Download it. I think I already have the gateway installed. Let it save it. I think I already have the gateway installed. Let me remove it. Control panel. As I already have that one installed, I am just removing to showcase how to install, how to configure that. Let it uninstall. Okay. Let it uninstall. Meanwhile, understand one requirement. I have this thing. Understand the requirement. I have two columns are there. Transaction date or some date, and I have another column with comments. Now, date 1, date 2, customer comments, those are 4. There are some comments for there. For the each day, I have different customers, some comments are there. Now I need to showcase only comments. I need to showcase only comments of that customers for the last 2 days always. Last 2 days I need to showcase the comments. I'm not going to use that date column. I'm not going to use that date column as part of my visualization. You can consider it as a table. Okay. So will it will it give me if I select a top 2 days or 3 days? I have 10 days are there. I need to select a top 3 days. Top 3 days I can take by applying a visual level filter called top 3 days. It is going to give a 1 2 3, fine, but I can get 1 2 3, but the ask is the comments should be in a descending order. Today's comments need to showcase first, yesterday's comments next, and the day before yesterday third. Always it need to showcase the latest comments on top. Always we need to showcase the latest comments on top. How we can accomplish that one? Understood the requirement? So I uninstalled that one and I'm trying to install the latest gateway which I downloaded. Double click on it. So it is saying that the gateway definition was a gateway acts as a bridge between the on-premise data gateway. On-premise means the data which is not in a cloud, and Power BI, Power Apps, Logic Apps. These are the different applications of Microsoft. Gateway should be installed on a computer which is always running, yes, and very good internet connection is required. You have two options are there: on-premises data gateway, personal or enterprise. Enterprise is required as part of organizations. Click on next. What do you mean by personal? What do you mean by on-premises? Like enterprises? Personal that can be used by you. That can be used by you, and that will be used by you, and it will support a scheduled refresh. And on-premise enterprise level gateway, it can be shared with multiple people. What do you mean by sharing with multiple people is here. One second. What do you mean by sharing with multiple is, see, gateway is an add-in or a instance on a specific machine. On a specific, this is the machine where I have some source. Here I have some source, and by using this source, I created a Power BI report. That one I published it on a cloud. And if I want to access this data, or if I want to access any data, I'm installing a gateway. I'm installing a gateway. So I'm installing gateway. With the help of that gateway, I'm going to read the data from a source to Power BI service. Now, this gateway installation is of two types. One is personal and enterprise. Before telling the personal enterprise, the gateway is a normal software which we are installing only as a one instance. You cannot install 10 instances of 10 gateways, you cannot install on a single machine. Only one gateway will be installed. Now, on that machine, if you are only the person who is going to use that machine, that server, fine, go ahead with the personal mode. Or if you are not working with Azure sources, go ahead. But if you are working in an organization where that servers, whatever SQL servers or databases, you will be used by multiple people. At that time, if you configure this gateway with your account, the others cannot use it. Personal mode will not help. At that time, you need to configure a enterprise mode, which is nothing but which will allow to add a multiple people, which will allow to provide access of this gateway with a multiple users. If you select the first option, which will allow you to share the gateway access with the multiple people, so that this guy can work on it, this guy can work on different source, this guy can work on different source, this guy can work on different source. Okay, so always you need to go with enterprise mode because that can be shared with multiple people. Why you need to share? In a single machine you can install a single instance. You cannot install 10 instances, right? Only one instance you can make it. That if you select a personal mode, the other people what they need to do. So we are going with enterprise shared mode so that you can share that access with other people. Those people will work on their sources from that machine. So you need to select that one and click on next. So this just giving as a reminder saying that bus it will work on a 24 by 7 mission. Yes, we are going to use in a live environment the same thing. So click on next, and I'm selecting a place to install that gateway. Click on yes. Click on yes. So the installation is done, and it is asking me that bus this gateway is installed to which service account you want to configure. From which service account you want to configure the gateway sources. So here I'm just saying my email ID. So even I have some questions. I am not part of Wipro now. Okay, so I'm just using the email ID. Yes. Remote machine credentials. So wherever, like for this question, at the time of adding a data source to your data gateway, at that time you need to give the remote machine credentials. And whenever, like previous screen whatever I given, that is your personal credentials. In your local machine with what credentials you are connecting, the same credentials you need to give. So far, yeah, like wherever you are, like at the time of installing, like at the time of the third party authentication which was just happened now, for that your network credentials in which machine you are getting logged in, that credentials you need to give. Okay, you will be at anyways client environment, like local environment also the same username password will be there, and remote machines that is different service accounts and those things will be there, right? So you need to provide your credentials first, then after with your personal email ID or your client email ID you need to enable that gateway. And let me go back once again. So it is saying that you are signed in as this one and you are ready to register. I want to register a new gateway. Okay, then after, what is the name of a gateway you want to provide? The name of a gateway I am just providing gateway underscore test I am providing. Then after, recovery key, like if you want to provide some password you can provide a password, and click on configure. So far whatever the credentials that are given, those are the credentials of the account which we are configuring, and that might be a client email ID or that might be our personal email ID also. So, but there, yes, like whatever the email ID that you are using, if it is a client email ID, you can access, like there is no difference between their client or normal, whatever the email ID that you, wherever you have an access, that email ID you need to provide. But that is going to be a matter whenever you are adding the data source, I will tell you. So it is saying that once the gateway is ready and you can use it for Power BI and Power Apps, Logic Apps, and everything it is saying. Okay, so now click on close. Only what happened so far is a gateway was installed on a one machine where your source is there. Now the source is available on my laptop, that's why I installed here. In your organization, your source will be available on a one remote machine. Your source will be available and you are connected from your local machine, you connected to your remote machine, there you have a sources, then you are created a report, you publish it on another cloud. You need to install a gateway not here, you need to install a gateway here where the source is available. So you are going to install the gateway here, and with your email ID, the email ID that you are using to log in this mission, to log in this mission, or to log in this mission, whatever the credential that you used, that credentials you are going to give for gateway creation. Then after, then after, then after the gateway was created, whether it is created or not, how you can validate is app.powerbi.com.
So Srinivas, for each project we will have separate gateway. Suppose our source come in a different location.
See, the thing is, each project or any project, if you are having a same server in the mission, in the sense same mission, if you are going to use, one gateway is enough. Okay, in a single remote mission, if you are having a 10 sources and 10 projects are running on the same mission,
Hmm.
so you don't require 10 gateways. One gateway is enough.
Okay. Yeah.
And if you
Thank
are having 10 projects and 10 different remote missions, you require 10 gateways.
you. Okay.
Yeah. So
Thanks.
now, fine. So I installed a gateway, and that gateway you can find it from a manage gateways. Under manage gateways, it is showcasing that the gateway underscore test was created, and and so gateway underscore test is created, and here you have an option called administrators. At this point of time, I am the administrator, and however, just now Arpit asked. So on the same remote mission, the live environment, the same mission will be used by multiple people, right? The same data also will be used by multiple people for different reports. So there are different products reports are working, or different sources considered. So I installed a gateway. As we can install only one gateway, I installed and I configured into my account. So that is what I'm able to see now as part of gateways. And I'm working on this module or this data source. Some other person want to work on this data source. As the gateway is already there, what we need to do is I need to give admin permission to this guy. I need to select that enterprise mode instead of personal mode. I need to select enterprise mode. I need to select a enterprise mode at the time of installation. Once I installed that one, I have an option called administrators. So what I need to do is I need to add him. I need to add him as an admin to that gateway. So whenever I added him, myself and he can see the same windows and he can connect to this data source. He can add that data source and he can consume it. Another person came and he also wanted to use the same data set or a different database on the same server. At the time, myself or this guy need to provide, make him as admin on the gateway. We are going to add him also here, so that he can add a data source and he can work on it. This is how it will work. Clear, Arpit?
Yes, clear.
Yeah. So in a single mission, this is the concept. And so at this point of time, so I am only the person. And if I feel that, so as it is a local mission, no one is going to connect. But if it is a remote mission, if I feel that someone also is going to use, so I will add the people over here. So they will see the same window, whatever I am seeing here. So fine. So gateway configured, it is working fine. And if you want, you can add administrators. And then after here, you need to add a data source. You just installed a gateway, but you didn't configure a source. Like yesterday parameter we created, we need to add the parameter with the data source. Like that, you created a gateway, but you didn't add a source. You need to add a source. For that, you have three options are there. Click on add data source. Add data source. You need to specify what is the data source. It is a Excel source, or I can give the what data it is representing. I can give Excel. And what is the type of a data source? It is nothing but a file. It's a file. And then after, the path of a file. The path of a file. The path is not sure from where I picked that one. So here the sample, or I can get the path from this is the path, right? Change the source. So copy it and add the source. Then after, testimony, this is a place where you need to provide the remote machine credentials. Remote machine credentials you need to provide here. So in this context, the source is available on my machine. To connect to this machine, what are the credentials that you need to use? To connect to this machine, to connect to this source, what are the credentials that we need to use? We need to mention here. So this is my local machine, my local machine credentials. With these credentials, I am going to connect. This is my office laptop. I am using my credentials. Click on add. Please saying that successful. So you installed a gateway, and from that gateway to source link you provided, and then after what you need to do is go to that data sets. Here settings option will be there. Under that settings, under that settings, the gateway connection, you need to specify the gateway. You need to specify the gateway. So here I have multiple gateways which refer to the same connection. I don't want to use this one. I want to use this one. Gateway underscore test that we created. Click on apply. Now we provided a link between the gateway and our data set which is available here. Now go to the workspace, data sets. Now refresh it. Everything is done. Everything is done. It must refresh now. This is what they will ask you as part of interview. Boss, what is the gateway? What are the different types of gateways? What is the difference between the gateways? How to configure a gateway? How to schedule a Power BI report? All those nonsense they will ask. So just now it got refreshed. You are able to see. So as a final touch, like what we done is we installed a gateway, which means we configured in our Power BI service account. Then after we added a source, we added a source into our Power BI service gateway. Then after we linked that gateway with our data set, and it is working fine. Okay, so that is how you can configure a gateway. Any source, that is the only way you can configure. And as I said, at the time of adding a source, where the source is, to connect to that source, what are the credentials that you need to give? That credentials you need to give. If it is a remote machine in our client network, we need to give that. To connect to that remote machine, what are the credentials that we are going to use? If it is our credentials, fine. Sometimes we are going to use other credentials. Okay, so at that time you need to give the credentials which will allow you to access that data set, data source you need to provide. And we are done with gateway configuration and gateways, and whenever you perform a refresh, it is getting refreshed. And you have a scheduled refresh option is there. You have a scheduled refresh, and you can enable a scheduled refresh of your data source, and you can schedule a maximum of 8 times per day, daily, whatever the time zone that you are in, that is fine. You need to add a time. So now it's a 7:52. I want to schedule it 8. I want to schedule it 8:30. Like that you can schedule, but you can schedule a maximum of 8 times per day. And whenever there is a failure as part of schedule, because of it is unable to connect a data source or any issue, you will get a mail if you want. That is what, send refresh notifications over a mail. Okay, so click on apply. So scheduling in Power BI is nothing but this one. But anyways, the scheduling in a Power BI is required if you are imported the data. If you follow a concept called importing and data model development, you need to schedule it. That is the worst approach, as I said. Okay, we are not going to follow. But as part of interview, even this one will be asked, how to schedule or how many times, means 8 times per day you can schedule it. And you need to say that, boss, we never used a import method, we used to use a live connection, so I will not schedule here, I will schedule somewhere else. That somewhere else we'll discuss later. So that is what scheduling. And so that is what, like creating a report, refreshing, schedule refresh, view related. And and if you want to rename your data set, you can rename it. Here you have an option. And if you want to delete the data set, you can delete it, so that all the reports and dashboards associated with that data set will be deleted. And analyze in Excel, if you want to open that model as part of Excel, you can open it. I will showcase it as part of next 2 days, like I am going to teach classes on my laptop, so there I will showcase. Get quick insights is nothing but it is going to analyze your data set, and it is going to showcase the insights. If there are any meaningful insights are there, you can use it as part of your report. So it is saying that the view insights is calculated, and click on view insights. So based on the data that I have, it is analyzed and it is showcased some insights. and if you felt that anything is useful, you can add it. By default it was analyzed. Okay, that is what quick insights. And the next one is security. If there is any RLS was implemented, you can add the users there. We didn't implement any RLS and we are not going to use that kind of security also. So in a Power BI desktop level, creating a security I already showcased. What do you mean by manage roles and adding a roles, creating a roles I showcased. So that is what the security. And manage permissions. Download PBX is nothing but it is going to download the dataset and PBX file which you uploaded. Manage permissions at a data set level. What are the permissions that you given? We can manage it from here. Okay, so we didn't add anyone over here as part of this data set. That's why it is showcasing that no one is there here. Okay, if you want to add users to this workspace or to this data set, you can add the user. Okay, so it is saying that this data set, how many reports are there, how many dashboards are there, you can see it. Okay, so this is fine. Like we are not going to manage the users from here, we are going to manage the users from at workspace level, app level, and a content pack level by using a dynamic security. So that is what manage users, with how many people you want to share the dashboard. Those are the options which are available at a data set level. Okay, and there are two other options are there, that that settings and analyze in Excel will see as part of our further discussions. So these are the options which are available at a data set level, and we'll see the options associated with the report level, dashboard level, and the workbooks, and how to create a workspace and all these options in the next session. Okay, so in the next session we'll have a discussion, and I don't want to give much time to that next session. And kindly don't fine, just go ahead. Like we will connect tomorrow morning and we'll continue the remaining things, like from here onwards, like the options associated with the report and dashboard, and the other topics will continue in tomorrow morning. Just give me a second.